And what time is your program, Pastor Noel?
It's every Saturday from 8 to 9:30. It's an hour and a half.
Right.
When we started on a Saturday. We switched on Monday, and we are back on Saturdays again. Mm-hmm. So it's an hour and a half every Saturday of real talk.
Real talk, raw talk.
Raw talk. Raw talk.
When you say raw talk, Pastor Noel, because I brought you all in studio today because we're seeing what's happening. Mm-hmm. Over last weekend, we had a double murder, suicide. Mm-hmm. Now we have a murder, husband and wife, all right? Mm-hmm. And we're seeing a pattern here. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're seeing it, I'm seeing it. Mm-hmm. There's a pattern. Men are saying that they don't have any avenue to talk.
Yeah, and I hear you, and that has been, this pattern has been established a long time. It's just that it rises and falls. At times it escalates, and then you die down, and then you see it rising up again. It means that the problem has not been solved. It means that we haven't been able to do what we need to do to help men.
Okay. What can we do, Pastor Noel? Because there are situations where men there are some men who are not physically abusive to their woman, but they are verbally abusive. Some of them are very, very, very nasty, have been very nasty to the woman in their life, and they as they would call them, their child mother. Mm-hmm. There's the street. We could talk like this on the street. Mm-hmm. On other frequencies, you can't say child mother, but they're the child mother, and they treat some of them when they realize that their back is against a wall, where the woman is not tolerating the narcissistic behavior anymore, their attitude, their unwillingness to change, they just want to be in control, but in control of nothing because they're not even contributing to the wellness of their family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the woman decides, here what, I've had enough of this. I think I need to move on. Let me bring up my children in a way that I believe that they will be valuable to society. Mm-hmm. And they have now decided that, here what, I want to close this chapter in my life. Mm-hmm. And there are some men who are not willing to let go of that.
Well, the thing is that we haven't been taught, even from young, how to deal with emotional issues as young men. Society has taught us that young men need to, you're feeling pain, suck it up, take it. Don't deal with it. You're a man. Even if it's a little boy, 6 years old, you're a man. So you have to learn to take it. So you learn not to deal with the issues. If it's a little girl, they allow her to cry, they allow her to vent, they allow her to say how she feels, and they talk to her and they counsel her. You don't get that with young boys. So you grow up in a society that says to deal with a problem, deal with it like a man. And the only thing we know is we're physically strong. That's how we were built. So that's how we learn to deal with things, by pulling down, mashing down, moving anything in our way. That's what we have been cultured to deal, how we have been cultured to deal with issues. So when you get older and you get married or you have a girlfriend, you do what you know. You do what you know. Whatever situation it is, you can't handle it, you lash out. You have to control the woman. We have a thing, we say, men, you can't leave me, you belong to me. So we also believe that everybody and everything belongs to us. That is what it means to be a man. And I'll tell you one thing, here in the Western world, we don't have what some cultures call rites of passage. A rite of passage is some formal ceremony that tells a boy that he's a man. He has to go through this. And at the end of that ceremony, the society views him as a man. We don't have that. So whatever you learn in your home, whatever you learn in your village, whatever you learn in your country, everybody learning something different, telling them that this is what a man is, right? And in most cases, it's wrong. So we grow up thinking a man is this and a man is that. We need to teach our young men. I have 3 young boys, right? My wife and I have 3 young boys, and I'm trying to teach them every day what it means to be a man. And then it doesn't mean to pull down and tear down and mash up and I in charge and wherever I say goes. Because we have learned that is why the society is where it is today. with all these murders and abuse and everything, because we haven't cultured our young men properly.
You have been talking to men for the past 16 years.
16 years.
So you're talking out of experience, you're talking out of hearing different experiences from men.
Correct.
Right? So this is not something new for you.
That's right.
But I just want to stick up in and throw your mind back to the level of acceptance in that our society has brought to where abuse is concerned. Calypsonians used to sing songs like, "Whose slippers is that under the bed? If you don't tell me, somebody go dead." You remember that calypso from Penguin?
Penguin, yes. Shorty sang 1 year old. That before he was Raw Shorty, he called he lick she. You know. And we laugh at that.
We laugh at it. That's my point. We never condemned it as a society. So when singing Francine sing, dog does run away, cat does run away, who is you to run away to? As a woman now, she thought that the best way to kind of counteract what them men singing is to tell the woman, run away.
Run away. Yeah. I remember that song by Francine.
Yes.
Yeah. And it kind of revolutionized how women were thinking at that time, because women felt that they had to stay and take abuse. They felt that they have to, you know, the old if you beat me, he love me, that kind of thing.
Whoa.
I think that has changed now. I don't think women want to take that anymore. That's why women are running away. That's why they're moving away, and men cannot handle that. And because we can't handle that, that's why the abuse is coming. That's why a lot of people are dying, because men cannot handle the fact that a woman says, enough is enough, I gone. We don't know what to do. We don't know. We have not been taught how to handle rejection as men.
Mr. Green, you have been, but your program is in the night, when men can be free to call in secretly and talk. Pastor Noel is in the day. Yours now?
No, mine is in the night now.
Oh, yours is in the night now.
It's in the night, yeah.
So how has your, what are some of the things as a young man, you're not married, I'm putting it out there, he's single, right? He's single, he's single. So, right, what are some of the things that you have been hearing? And I know that you have been hearing, because sometimes I do listen. So how have you been able to deal with some of the encounters that you have been hearing?
Well, listen, man, I am not a professional.
No,
I want to say that off the bat. And so I would have with me Pastor Teresa Brown, who would normally come on with me. And I would invite professionals to come on the program. So Professor he has been there with us. We have had Dr. Oscar Ocho.
Right.
You know? So what I do, I facilitate it, you know, to give them the avenue to speak, to share. And I'll tell you, man, there was once a guy called. Now, our program starts at 11 and finishes just an hour and a half, so it finishes at 12:30. Sometimes it goes on to 1 and 1:30, but I stay to give them the avenue. We have people calling from the islands, right? And I remember the time there's a guy who called, but he was whispering, Professor. He was whispering and he's saying, listen, I can't talk too loud because she would hear me. And he's saying that he was working and he fell, he damaged his back. And when he damaged his back, now he can't work anymore, so he's at home. So being at home, he's unable to work. His wife now is the one who has to carry that load. And it seems like she started to get frustrated in the process. So now she's frustrated, she has to take care of him, and she's taking care of the children, she's taking care of the home financially in every way. And she starts to get at him. So she's telling him a lot of hurtful stuff. She's telling him, why you do thing, you know, why to go, you know, I can't deal with this no more, and things like that. So he's calling to talk about this issue, but he's whispering. Because if his wife hears, is Abakana. You know what I mean? So we have had other men with that same whispering calling to say, well, hey, I want to talk about this, but she is right there. You know what I mean? And so when you hear this, our next man might say, but you crazy, you taking that, just talk and stuff. He's a man. That's the term. As the Prophet said, you are a man. So apparently a man means you could say what you want, talk what you want. You don't have to be fearful. You know what I mean? But people forget that men have feelings as well. We have emotions as well. So when we forget that, you tend to treat men as if they have no feelings at all. I don't need to tell you I love you. I don't need to show you any kind of major affection. But men need it as well. They respond differently, but it doesn't mean that they don't need it. So these are some of the things you would hear coming in from the men, how they are spoken to, how women speak to them, some of the words that they would use against them, especially in the issue of they are now separated and they are dealing with a child. You see, that is a big issue, because now some parents are using the child as a weapon. They use the child as a weapon. So you can't come and see your children. I say so, and if they go to the police, it would appear as if it appears to some of the men, and this is what they're saying, that everybody has the woman's back, but nobody has their back. So they will be taking care of the children. Outside of court, they will be giving money, because they want to see about their child. And the woman is saying, you can't come and see your child, especially if he has now moved on and has somebody else. So it is a lot of things that they have been sharing there.
Wow. And that is interesting, because there are some men who they use the child as a way to get back at the woman. All right. There are some women who say that they say that it's a child they want to know, but it's really me they're trying to get back to.
Well, I don't want us to make it sound that the men that they are always to blame for some of the things that happen.
Okay.
We have as well issues where we have women who really
push your buttons.
Yeah, they push their buttons.
Explain that to me. Explain that, because there are some people who want to understand that push button. Because people think that, just like how you're saying it there are some people who believe that these situations that we're seeing, these domestic violence, these abusive relationships, are because women pushing men's buttons. But there are some issues where there are men who are married, you have an outside woman, right? Your wife finds out that you have an outside relationship, and she decides that I'm not dealing with that anymore. So let me go, and you go and be with who you want to be with. And then the man says, no, I want you. But she said, you can't want me and her.
I think, and I'm sure that the professor could speak more about that.
Well, now, firstly, not to get your listeners confused, because you introduced me as Pastor Noel, and he's calling me Professor. So you want to let them know Pastor Noel and Professor is the same person. All right, I am Professor. That's what most people call me, Professor. Right? That's how I'm known. Okay, so just not to get your listeners and your viewers confused.
But that situation, Pastor Noel, tell me, how?
Well, again, you see, it's how men are brought up. You're brought up to think that you're a king, all right? And a king, even in the Bible, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. So as far as you're concerned, you could have more than one, and they had to accept that. They had to take that. So even if a woman outside, you can't leave. You're my woman too. You main one, you stay here. But, and as far as a man is concerned, he's justified in doing that. Because that is what a man is supposed, that is what we have been taught. That a man is supposed to have plenty women. That is what makes him a man. We have not taught our young men things like loyalty and faithfulness to one person. We haven't taught our young ones that, and therein lies the problem. And we have to get back to the place where we understand, where we teach our young men that a man is a man when he can say about one woman, when he can be faithful to her, when he could provide for her, protect her, preserve her, all these things. That is what makes you a man. This is what you were built for. But society has told you differently, and you're going with what society says. So that's why we have this problem.
Okay.
And I just want to go back a little bit because I think it's important for us to understand that push button thing. That push button thing, I'm talking about what is being said. A man would say, women know how to push your buttons. They would say that a man has his strength and a woman's strength is her mouth. So she would say certain things so hurtful, and she knows what to say to get the brother riled up. So she mightn't be able to cuff down a man, but she could say some stuff that is going to get him so upset, so angry. You know, she knows it's going to hit that point that he's going to, you know, she wants to do that. So if you're hurting me this way, she's probably saying, then I'm going to get back at you, and I know what to say, you know, to get back at you in that particular kind of way. So one of the guys would have shared that, and in that same situation with a child. Okay, so he's saying about his child, and she tells him that she knows if she goes to the officers, if she calls the officers, and they come here, they're going to go with him, because she feels that they are, you know, they're impartial. She knows that if she calls the police and say, so-and-so happened, husband, they're going to come and possibly ask no questions. So she uses that as an opportunity to get him away, to get him incarcerated, to get him out of the house. And so he's saying to us that he's saying his wickedness. You know, they know the power that they have. He know that they are supported by the courts. He know that they're supported by the officers. This is what he's saying. So I'm sharing what he feels. You know. So he's saying, I'm seeing about my child. Sometimes they will call me outside of the courts and say, well, your daughter needs some money or your son needs something, and he would go and he would give it. But still, he is getting chastised if he misses some money or stuff, and he goes to jail if he misses paying that. So they are feeling like, you know what, I'm seeing about my child. So it is not always, because the same thing that happens to the woman is the same thing that happens to the men. Men are abused physically as well. So the reason why you don't hear about those things is that some of the men feels it makes no sense going to the police station. It makes no sense talking to anybody because they're going to get laughed at. You go by some bar, you go on the street, and you say, you're talking with your brethren. The ladies may talk with the ladies and say, you know, he did this to me. You go with a group of men and say, boy, that lady slapped me down yesterday. They're going to laugh and say, you taking that? You taking that? Me taking that? And then they give you some advice and you go home to try it, and she beat you up more. So they will not speak about that. So they will call on a program very quietly, and they would share it, you know, and it's sad.
If you're now joining us and you want to know what is being discussed, we're looking at men issues. We're just touching on men issues today a little bit, and I brought with me some of my colleagues in the media. One gentleman I have known
since I was a baby. You used to take care of me when I was a baby.
You have to help your own.
Oh gosh! Another young man I've known all my teenage life. So Mr. Dion Green I have in studio, and Mr. Noel Professor Richards. Right? So they are here with me today. We're just touching a little bit. I was supposed to have, but he was calling me a while ago, my friend from the UK. Yeah, apparently he's listening. So
Well, I am seeing obviously he's calling my phone, and I wonder if it's the same person. I don't know. I'm just looking. I can't see this. I don't understand this number. I've never seen a number like that. So maybe you give him my number and he's calling me too.
I think so.
I wonder.
Things like that do happen from time to time.
Yeah. Strange things happen.
Strange things happen. So I want to.
Can I just say something before you move on? You know, it baffles my mind that in this day and age, we keep hearing the same story over and over. And it happens a lot on my program, where men call in and they have no avenue to go to because the police don't take them seriously. The courts really treat them unfairly in their mind. And it baffles me in this day and age with so much going on that we still have this issue of men saying that a woman just has to go and cry in front of a magistrate or a judge and she gets what she wants. It baffles me that a man is saying that I went to the police and the police themselves laughing at me and say, what kind of man are you? In this day and age, this should not be happening. After all that we've seen, after what history has shown in Trinidad and Tobago, to tell me that this is still happening here says something is wrong with our society. Something is really wrong, and that's why men are crying out. Because where do you go? You call a radio program and you whisper that's the best that you can do? There must be something more, man. And you know, it will continue to happen if we don't take note of it, if we don't change the way we deal with these issues at all these levels, at the level of the police, and at the level of the courts, even society, you know, your friends, even at the level of your, as they are saying, you go and you sit down in a bar and you're drinking and you tell them what happened, and you take that boy, and half of them who telling you that they're taking the same thing. Or worse. All right, so we have to start getting real. And we have to start understanding that we have to help one another.
So just remind the listeners again what times that they can listen to your program. So to the men who are listening out there and they are wondering, what time can I tune in to hear Mr. Green's program on 99.5 Sky and Mr. Noel Professor Richard's program on 98.1? I want them to know because they might be listening here. They might be going through issues and they may be surprised to know that there are other men who have been going through the same issues and have been able to get help.
Yeah.
One of the things before you say that is that there are people who believe that you could just sit down and decide that you want to change and change. And we're talking as men.
Yeah.
There are some men who believe that they can tell a woman, girl, I changed, you know, I really want to change, you know, and I feel like Is that possible? Just like that, you just decide you're going to change, but you only time you'll be even like a psychotic, like a monster, you know. And after 2-3 weeks or a month, you telling me you're going to change, and I must just believe that you're going to change. Or you could change without getting any therapy, you know. I heard a pastor said it yesterday, and he said it's so good. He said, I believe in Jesus, I believe in the power of God. He said, but I also believe in sitting down and talking out your problems.
Correct. You see, even if you go back to the beginning, God himself said, man need help. That's why he created woman. We have to recognize that we need help. And for those of us who have gone down the wrong path, we need more help. You cannot of your own decide, like, I'm going to change today. What would prompt that change anyway? What would make you decide you're going to change? And, you know, this is what we tell a lot of women, especially when you abuse them. Sorry, baby. You know, we better next time. I change. I'm different. I'm a different person.
I want my family.
I want my family. And a lot of men, after the fact, after she's gone, that's when they realize they want their family. Always after, you know. We have a scene on my program, Men Talk, which is, by the way, every Saturday night at 8 o'clock on 98.1 FM. Every Saturday from 8 to 9:30, hour and a half. And in that program, we don't have women talking. Women are not allowed to call into the program. They could contribute, they send in a text message. But we want men to talk. It's a forum for men only, you know. And the thing is, we have to understand that men, when men talk with men, it helps. And all of us need help. We all need help. Some of us want to fool ourselves and think, I good, man, I good. And we tell you women, I could be better. And we need help. God said it, and God is better, wiser than all of us. So we need the help, right? And we have to, first of all, we have to admit that we need the help, and then secondly, we have to seek the help.
Yeah, well, but the program is on Sky 99.5 on a Monday night from 11 to 12:30 a.m. We allow, on this program, we allow the woman to call because we think it adds a different dimension, perspective. And we are able to get talking points off of that. There are men who really don't want to hear from the woman because they're going through but we allow them to call to share. Some women would call based on the topic. They would agree or give a different perspective of how they feel about whatever the situation is. But I mean, it's if men and women could understand that God made both of them for a particular purpose, they can symbiotic. There's a relationship that works together there. But pride, the ego, all of these things really affects. There's always conversations about salary and making more salary and these kind of things, and then the man started to feel funny, those kinds of arguments, and it goes on and on. But there's one thing that I know, and I'll just use a personal experience of a family, close relative of mine, who was married to a guy. She taught him how to read. She taught him how to write. She taught him how to play an instrument. And he was very abusive to her.
Wow. Wow. My time is going, Dion. And our news is coming up next. I don't want you to leave. I know Pastor Noel has to leave. When you come back, you will share that story with us, and we will move on further. But Pastor Noel, I want to thank you. I know you are a busy man, but I want to thank you for short notice. But I think this is necessary for the men of Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going for the news, and we're going to come back with Mr. Dion Green. Pastor Noel, thanks again.
You're welcome.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Get ready! Pretty British, Brother J, and Ali Berry presents Caribbean Soca Madness Part 1.